Hey, hello everybody. So we're going to be doing some testing today. Got some new round cotton product here. So this is my 3/16 standard wick, and then you'll see this is, this is quarter inch round cotton wick. This is 3/16, but it's a 3/16, and you can kind of see it's almost a hollow core 3/16. So we're going to see how this performs compared to a quarter inch round cotton. As far as burn time, how quickly it consumes, wick. I'm also testing out kerosene, and I'm curious how kerosene behaves, especially when it gets down to the bottom and almost runs out. Does it flash and explode, or does it just run out and goes out okay? So I'd like to just start running pure kerosene. See what I have here. You can get this for like $7-8 over at Walmart for the whole gallon. It's a heck of a deal. You. Give it to you. Alright. We'll just drop that in there. I'm just going to kind of let it go sideways a little bit, let it soak in. You can see it wet up the wick, and then I'll drop a couple drops down the top right when we're done. I kind of miffed this hole up. You see how oversized that is? So it's going to be hard for that to stay. But you see, I just don't even want... That's almost too much reveal. You're going to see from the flame height, that's going to be too much almost. And then this one is just right. And this hole is almost undersized at exactly 3/16, so it's a little bit hard to pass through. Anyway, so we're just going to give her a little shake-a. That's thoroughly going to wet the wick up. Okay, so what have I done here? I have separated the fuel source from the burning area. I have a fire extinguisher over here. I also have a bucket of water right behind me, so I feel I'm fairly set. Just going to kind of give that a little bit of a chance to prime. Make sure it's thoroughly wet. And you'll see here this is basically a creme brulee torch. This is also sold as a soldering iron. It's a butane powered soldering iron or a creme brulee torch. I got this one over at Harbor Freight, $10 I think. High quality, lasts a long time. Most importantly, works in the wind and produces a high intensity flame. If you're igniting something like olive oil, definitely want to have a regular lighter will work, but this keeps me away from the flame. I would use a log lighter. At the very last opportunity, I would use a handheld lighter because I don't like getting my hand that close to the flame. So any fuel that is spilled is evaporated. We'll get this out of the way. Keep your children and pets away from this, and this is not a recommendation of what you should do. I'm just simply testing my product. Do not do this at home. I have a fire extinguisher, I have water, and the fire department's right across the street. Fire extinguisher down here, and hold on. There we go. It's really windy today. Look at that. It's like making the fire go out. There we go. So we're gonna kind of close the barbecue down, give it a chance to burn. It's like 15, 20 mile an hour gusts today. It's got to be one of the coldest days of the summer. So you see how much better that does when there's no wind. So we'll get a good burn going. Curious how quickly it's going to draw fuel. Looks like even this is a smaller size. This is a 1/4 inch and it's a complete solid core. This is a 3/16 hollow core, and you can see how nice of a flame that's producing. It's pretty incredible. But about 1/2 inch wicks are really, really good for outdoor use because you can't blow them out by hand. You have to snuff them out or almost just smother them with water. It's burning very nice. Wick is definitely pulling up because it's gone out and I've been able to relight no problem. So it's definitely pulling fluid. Even the hollow core is pulling fluid just fine. So we're looking pretty good. Very similar flames. They have approximately the same reveal. This has obviously got more cotton showing because it's a thicker product. So yeah, these are definitely for more nice calm day. Maybe this is a bad day to run the test. But I'm contemplating whether or not I want to buy some of this 3/16 hollow core from my supplier, so I'm just doing some burn testing here. I don't like to sell products to my customers unless I've given it some thorough testing. So you can see here, what am I testing? That's a good 4 inches almost between the reservoir height and the burn height. That's very important. Wicks can only do so much. It's a passive pump basically, and it's using capillary action. It is a windy day. Holy smokes, you see how windy it is? So these smaller wicks you can blow out by hand, you know, with a good stiff breath from yourself. Too windy a day to be testing. You see that? It's pretty windy though. The flames are going sideways. There you go. But it instantly relights, so it's definitely pulling fluid. It's just god-awful windy. Yeah, I should have had a blocker of some sort here. And the other good thing I like to see is we haven't had any explosion, because testing out kerosene for the first time, and I'm not sure how kerosene varies from major name brand torch fluids. But I'm really suspecting it's the same product, and they just put in some lemongrass essential oils, and then they sell it as citronella oil. So that's what we're going to be testing out too, is can we use kerosene instead of having to buy brand name fluid. That'll save everybody a ton of money. In addition to buying my wick, saves everybody a ton of money. So there you go. We're getting good response as far as we have almost 4 inches between our fluid reservoir and the burning tip. Goes out, reignites just fine, telling me it's pulling fuel. It's not getting starved for fuel, it's just 20 mile an hour winds. I live next to a hill, so it gets amplified by the fact that it comes down off the hill by the time it hits here. So I think we're going to wrap up the test shortly. We also have gardeners coming apparently, so that'll be way too noisy. I think we're going to wrap it up right here. I'm going to call this a success. They both produce similar flames. Very impressive. 3/16 is working just as well as a 1/4. Doesn't matter one bit that it's hollow core. In this 5 or 10 minute test, you see it has not burned away that 1/8 inch nub. In fact, if you're looking at it, you can see it's just barely charred. Let's blow them out and take a look what they look like. Okay, so you can see the 3/16 is just barely charred. A lot of it is still white. The hollow core is performing admirably well. Look at that, just a little bit of charring there. I don't even think you might necessarily need to trim that up next time. So these are working very well. They pull a lot of fluid. And the only downfall is when you do wick this small, if it's really, really windy, it's gonna blow out, so it needs to be shrouded inside of some sort of a globe or something. So these DIY candles don't do really well in windy conditions. I guess you could figure out a way to put another mason jar on top as a kind of a globe. But anyway, it's working very well. We're gonna cut the test short here because we have gardeners. All right, see you later, everybody. Okay, you can see I've restarted the test in a different location, and I've redone the test apparatus a little bit. I put it inside of a clay pot, and I surrounded it with aluminum foil so that when it's real windy and blowing, it doesn't blow itself out, and that's been working very well. Makes a nice shroud. So I did not, this sat for several hours. I did not have to reprime the wick, and I have not reset the reveal on the wick. So it's doing admirably well considering it's cotton, that it hasn't consumed itself and burned away. There must have been maybe a millimeter showing, and you can still see a substantial amount of wick is left. So we're going to see how long it takes for this to burn itself out. Get an idea of the burn rate on a 1 millimeter reveal of cotton wick. So we'll blow this out at a good deal, hopefully. Alright, hello everybody, coming back to it here. We're doing some testing. I have a new product here. It's a 3/16 hollow core, you can see, round cotton. And I've been doing several days of testing, leaving this outside and then relighting it, and it just lights right up. It actually burned. I had about this much fluid, and over about 3 or 4 days it depleted all the fluid and went out. You can see it is severely charred. It's a well-used candle. And so now we're going to go ahead and fire this up again. Let me put it back inside of its protective. Let's see here. Add a little flower pot. Doesn't need to be in cardboard. Got a little flower pot here. And then I used the foil as kind of a windshield. So I'm going to fire this up. It's probably, you see there's fluid still on the top there, so I'm going to let that evaporate a little more. Maybe I'll go grab a paper towel and dry it up. You should always dry up any spilled fluid before you light up a candle. Alright, so you should dry up any spilled fluid before you light up a candle, so we're just going to go ahead and alright, so you see that lit right up, no problem. There's actually broke off a little bit of the wick, and it's lighting the wick there. It's gonna die here. Anyway, so this is pretty impressive. This stuff has been, ideally, if you leave your lamp outdoors, you cover it up so moisture doesn't get to it. I've been really impressed that this wick hasn't become saturated with water, and I haven't had to trim it yet. So I've had about an 1/8 inch exposure. It's been burning now for several days. Burned through about 2 inches of fluid so far, and I haven't had to advance the wick. And most importantly, I blow it out, leave it out overnight, and then fire it back up again the next day, and it doesn't require any trimming. So this wick has been performing admirably well. We got a case of this stuff coming, so we'll be going ahead and I think I've given it enough testing. We're going to go ahead and call it good. So anyway, just want to give a little demonstration here. We'll probably put together a thorough test demonstration of this wick. Everybody have a good day. Alright, hello everybody. We are doing some product testing. So I've been using these for the last several days. What we have on here on the left side is a new product I'll be carrying. Take a look at that. It's a 3/16 hollow core round cotton wick. So a little different. 3/16, and it has a hollow center. I was a little worried about how that was going to perform, but it's performing brilliantly. So what do we have here on the left? We have the 3/16 hollow core. That's a new product. And then we have our tried and true product. This is the 1/4 inch round cotton with a solid core. So as you can see, we have already been doing extensive testing. And what's even better, over about a 3-day period, I burned through about this much down to the bottom, ran it completely dry to the point where the flame went out, refilled, just kind of shook it up a little bit. This has been sitting out for 3 days as well. I haven't done anything to it. So now they're probably going to go out because it's too windy. Alright, we've reconvened to the ground, and here I have what I had been doing the testing in over a few period of days. Just made a little shroud. We'll leave that one out in the open. It's a lot less windy down here at the bottom of the deck. So We have the 3/16 hollow core here. This is the 1/4 inch round cotton with a solid. And you can see that wick is solid. Producing very similar flames. This one's maybe ever so slightly bigger, but I think there's actually more wick showing because I've been burning this thing down to a burnt out little nub, and I have not had to advance the wick yet, so it's very impressive. So this will be a new product that we'll be carrying. I'll be running the 3/16 in a lot of different configurations, but I just wanted to give a little demonstration video. This is on the 4th day that this has been sitting outside. It's usually terrible for wick. It usually gets water saturated. I'm really impressed with how well these both have been doing, sitting just outside overnight for several days, and they still fire right up. And I am using just good old-fashioned kerosene as my fuel. Let me show you that there. This is the testing fuel, just good old-fashioned clean burning fuel, kerosene by Crown. So you can see that you do not even need to spend a ton of money for name brand fuels. You can just use good old-fashioned kerosene. And if you wanted to get the citronella effect, you could just add a couple of drops of lemongrass essential oil, and then I think you've essentially made citronella oil. So you'd have to look up online how many drops of citronella per quart of fluid to add to make a good citronella oil mix for yourself and save a ton of money. I want to say this was $8. It's a whole gallon. I'm going to be using this for probably a year or two. So anyway, we're running the test right here. The other thing I want to do a quick blowout and relight. So those are both out. And you can see how easy it is to get them going again. Didn't even need to prime them. They're all set. And I've been even able to let this sit overnight and not have to prime it and just light it right up. It's been fantastic. So these little mason jar candles work brilliantly. Just make sure you don't knock them over and start a fire. Anyway, everybody have a good day.